Hello everyone, today I will be showing you how to make the Owen poppy. This is a poppy I created in memory of my late stepfather for the Royal British Legion Poppy Appeal. This pattern was kind of inspired by Crochet and their barn owl pattern, where they use different stitches to create different heights and textures on the wings, and that's where the thought process was behind this design. So with that, we'll get into it. So for this poppy, I am using Perfect DK. I think the shade is just red. This was off Amazon. It's fairly cheap to buy. It's not too bad. They also do a good green if you are looking to do the classic poppy with leaves. So I have my red, I also have some scissors, I have a thicker yarn needle for sewing ends in, I have a thinner yarn needle for sewing my button on, and I have a 4mm crochet hook. So we want to start off with our yarn, and we want to hold the tail yarn like this, wrap it around into an X, and then going under the first strand, grabbing the second one and pulling it out, we should put the... So now we're going to put our hook in, and we are going to... So this is the tail end of the yarn, the short piece, and then the long piece is the working yarn. So we're going to pull that through. So now we've got a nice kind of tight knot on our hook. So now we're going to go and yarn over, and when I yarn over I tend to move the hook mostly, not so much the yarn, but that's down to personal preference. Yarn over and just do some chains. So we're chaining 8, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's our chain 8. 6 of these are going to be working stitches, and then the last 2 closest to the hook are going to be height, so they're going to give the row some height. So we are going to do a double crochet into the third chain from hook. So that's the first one, there's the second one, and this is the third one. So we're going to yarn over, and then making sure we're going into that third one. So 1, 2, 3, going into that there, and then yarning over, pulling that through the chain. So we've got 3 hoops on the hook, yarning over again, pull through the first 2, and then we've got 2 again, so we're going to yarn over, pull through 2 again. That's our first double crochet. So we're going to do that again. So yarn over, put it into the next stitch, yarn over again, and pull through. We've got 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over again, and then pull through the last 2, and that is our 2 double crochets. So now we are going to reduce the height a little bit by doing half double crochets. I'm going to do 2 of those. So for that, we're going to yarn over the same way we started a double crochet, go into the next stitch and yarn over again, pull that back through. So we've got 3 loops on our hook, the same way we do with a double crochet. This time when we yarn over and pull through, instead of pulling through 2 and then 2 again as we do with a double crochet, we're just pulling through all 3 at once, and that gives us a slightly shorter stitch. So again, yarn over, push that through the chain, yarn over again, pull back through. We've got 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. Now we are going to move on to our single crochets, last 2 stitches of the chain that we made. So to do a single crochet, we are not yarning over at all, we're going straight into the stitch. We are going to yarn over, pull through, so I've got 2 loops on my hook, yarn over again, and pull through 2. And then again, no yarn over to begin with, we're going straight into the stitch. We're yarning over when we get there, pulling that back through, so we've got 2 loops on the hook, yarning over and pulling through. So there is our first row. So from this end, where we're going to have single crochets up the rows, we're going to be chaining 1 to turn. When we get to this end where we have more height, we are going to be chaining 2 to turn, and that will give us a nice archway kind of pattern once we have enough rows, and that's what we're aiming for. So from here we're going to chain 1 and turn. Now if we look down on the top of the stitches, you can see them making a V kind of formation. So for the foreseeable rounds, we are going into the back loops only. So we are crocheting into the V stitch into the middle and coming out here. So I have got 2 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over, pull through the first one. So I've got 2 loops still, and then yarn over, pull through 2. That's my first single crochet. So again, I'm going into the next V stitch, into the middle, into the back loop only. So I've got 2 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through 1, so I'm here, and then I'm going to yarn over and pull through 2 again. And that's my second single crochet completed. Now I'm going to do 2 half double crochet in the next 2 stitches. So I'm going to yarn over and then put that into the V stitch in the same way. So we're still doing back loops only. I'm going to yarn over, pull that back through. So I've got 3 hoops on my hook, yarn over again and pull through all 3. And we're just going to do that for a second stitch. So yarn over, into the next stitch space, put that into the V in the back loop only, yarn over, pull through. So I've got 3 hoops or loops on my hook, yarn over and pull through all 3. As I'm pulling and dragging my hook down to pull the yarn through, I do turn it slightly to make things a little bit easier, because then I can use the end of the hook to guide it through the hoop and not get it caught. So now that we've done the 2 single crochet and 2 half double crochet, we're going to do 1 double crochet in each of the last 2 stitches. So we're going to yarn over, go into the V stitch, so we're picking up the back loop only again, yarning over, pulling through, so we've got 3 loops on the hook, yarn over again, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And for the last stitch of the row, yarn over, go into the V stitch, into the back loop, yarn over, pull through, so I've got 3 loops on the hook, yarn over again, pull through 2, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2 again. And that's the end of the row. So now that we're getting some rows, you can see that this end is tending to be a bit taller and this end is going to be skinnier. That's what we want. It's going to arch around into an arch shape. So from this chunkier end, we're going to do 2 chains and turn. And the pattern will be 2 double crochets, 2 half double crochets and 2 single crochets. And then we will chain 1, turn the work and repeat the pattern backwards, and that's 2 single crochets, 2 half double crochets and then 2 double crochets. And we do that for as many rows as you would like. It depends how big you want to make your flower. I like to aim for 15, and that gives me, I find, a nice poppy shape. So double crochet, so we are yarning over, we're going into the V stitch still, and we're going through, yarning over and pulling back through. So I've got 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2 and pull through 2 again. I'm yarning over into the V stitch, yarning over, pulling through. So I've got now 4. Pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 again. I've got my 2 double crochets. Now I'm going to do my 2 half double crochets. And now my 2 single crochets. 1. Sometimes a little tricky to get into that end one. And 2. So that's 3 rows done. Now I'm back at the skinny round, so I'm going to chain 1 and turn. And I'm just going to repeat the pattern until I have 15 rows. I'm just going to do my last 2 rounds now. So chaining 1, turning into the back loops only, single crochet, half double crochet, half double crochet, double crochet, and another double crochet. And then from here I'm going to chain 2 and turn and do the last row. So 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets, 1 half double crochet, another half double crochet, and then a single crochet and another single crochet. So I'm just going to loosen that so I can pull my hook out. So from here we're just going to count to 15 to make sure we've got all of our rows. As I said, this is pretty much down to personal preference. You could do 16, 17 rows and it would still look the part. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So that's what I'm aiming for. I am going to leave a tail so that I could sew my button on. Now taking my scissors, I'm going to cut that there. Now to finish this so that it is secure, I tend to loosen this loop up a bit more and then just pull the tail yarn through. And that creates a knot there. So this is our arch. Now we're going to sew the ends together to start forming the poppy. With the tail yarn that we left long after the first step, we are going to thread our yarn needle like that, and personal preference, I prefer this side to be the inside of the poppy as opposed to the more formed side on the other side. So I will pair these 2 ends together and I will do my best to stitch along and align the stitches. This doesn't have to be perfect, this step, because you don't really see it. It's just more for making sure I'm getting the right stitches. So I'll go up one side in a zigzag stitch and then go down the other side. Okay. Just so that we can ensure the poppy is nice and secure. Okay, here I will take my yarn needle off and just tie these ends together just so they form a little bit of a security knot. Okay, so there, this is what it looks like. Now we need to cinch in this center here. So picking the longer tail yarn, I'll thread that back on my yarn needle. And from here, I will just go into these very edge stitches and just kind of zigzag my way around the poppy. This is another stage that doesn't have to be 100% perfect. This is just my preferred way of doing it. So just making my way around until I get back to that other tail yarn where we started. As you can see, the centre's getting tighter as we go. But this is my favourite part in a second. So now I'm back to where I started, and I will just give that a little pull to close that up. And again, another security knot. I love my security knots. Might be over the top, but nothing is coming undone on my watch. So this is what it looks like from the inside, and all we are missing now is our button, which can be sewn on with these tail pieces if they're long enough, or you can use black thread. So I'm going to again thread this into my yarn needle. Okay, and then I'm going to hold the button where I want it to go, so anywhere in the middle, and then just kind of start sewing this in where I want it to sit. Now you can use black thread here to make this less obvious. I'm just being a little bit lazy. And I don't mind the red look, I think it goes quite nicely. There you go, so I've sewn it through twice for being secure. And then I'm going to, one last time with my security knots, knot it, and then knot it again. Okay, so now we are pretty much finished. We just need to weave in those yarn ends. So I'm just going to grab, I prefer these yarn needles for sewing ends in because of the bent end. It's just easier to maneuver. So because this is quite short, what I'm going to do is just feed the needle through some sections here, and then feed the yarn through and just tuck it in that way. And then again from here, following where it's kind of closest to, I'm going to feed that in through the eye of the needle if I can, and pull that through. And now that end has kind of disappeared. So we're going to do the same with this tail here. So I'm just going to thread the needle through just to hide that last tail. Okay, there's one, and then the last one. Bit fiddly. I might have had as much luck just to cut it off. There we go. Pull that through. And there we go. So that is one finished poppy. And you can safety pin this in the back, safety pin it when you're pinning it for Poppy Parade. Thank you for watching.